That's right. So while they needed time to develop these programs, the whole debate, the whole issue was about denuclearization. They had to accept that and they tantalizingly put the issue of denuclearization on the program, on the agenda of the talks, in order to engage the Americans in particular in discussions and give them time. They feared that the Americans would launch would create another Iraq. In the Korean Peninsula. That was a very great fear that Americans would engage in a military strike and destroy their capability and possibly destroy the state. So if they could somehow pin the Americans down in these ongoing negotiations, frustrating as it may be for the Americans, but sufficient to give them time to develop their capability in both areas, missile capability and nuclear capability, then the whole thing had a certain purpose, and they had to accede to the agenda of denuclearization. But once they developed their capabilities in both areas to a sufficient level, they could simply move on to the next stage, and then attempt to change the agenda of the negotiations to one of to move from denuclearization towards reduction of nuclear weapons, to be treated as a nuclear state, and to demand of the Americans that they also engage in reductions of nuclear weapons before they could start negotiating with the North. This was the element of boasting amongst within their North Korean leadership, to show the world and to show the domestic audience in particular that North Korea had made it, and could not be treated as an underling, so to speak, that it had reached the level or the status of a nuclear power. It should be treated accordingly. Yes, that shift was made just around 2009 as they began to move away from the six-party talks.